Hey everyone, today we are solving Horizontall from HackTheBox and easy rated Linux machine. We have run RustScan, which is effectively a port scanner, which allows us to enumerate what services are running on the machine. For example, in this case, we have the port 22 open, which is SSH, a remote administration service, and we have port 80 open, which is commonly known as HTTP. We know this because we can see it here, and in addition, when we look at the nmap output, we can see here that we have 22 open, the service SSH, and some information about it that's not that important. In addition, we have 80, which is running HTTP, and again, nothing much that interesting. Okay, let's move on to the web application aspect. We use GoBuster to enumerate directories and subdomains of the web application to understand if there's anything else additionally running on there. After some time, we see there is an API-prod horizontal.htb informing us that there's a subdomain with a service running on the web application. We'll go ahead and add that to our etc host file so we can go ahead and name look up this host when we access it. So when we get to it via the browser, it will actually resolve properly via Apache. We then access the web application directly just to check that the etc host has worked and that the page is up. Next, we go ahead and run some GoBuster again against the new API endpoint so we can go ahead and enumerate what's on there and see what else is running on that subdomain directly. We can see there's an admin here, so we'll go ahead and view admin. Go to here, /admin, and we get a STRAPI page. We can't see it yet, but it's loading. We have a STRAPI. Okay, interesting. I'm curious as to what this is, so I'll go ahead and Google it. STRAPI. Turns out it's some kind of CMS, that's okay. Exploit. Here we have remote code execution. Interesting, let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, interesting. Seems like basically we can get RCE on CMS 3.0. Not sure if this version will work with it, but we can go ahead and try it anyways. Go ahead and copy the link to this. Go ahead and just get it over to our box. I'll go ahead and create a new tab here. Go to, just clear this out of the way so we can see a little bit easier. Go to wget the IP, so the URL to the thingy, and then we'll just output it as, say, strapi pwn, strap pwn, that will do, cool. Go ahead and hit enter, wait for that to load. We'll go ahead and now run it. It seems to be asking us for some stuff, so it's wanting a URL basically. I imagine by URL it wants this, just off the guess. We'll go ahead and provide it. Okay, it seems to have worked, kind of. I can't see any obvious output other than the fact that it says it worked. We'll go ahead and try saying, I don't know, ID. Trigger remote code execution. Remember, this is a blind RC, so don't expect to see the output. Okay, interesting. So this is blind. So one way I want to know if things work, I'm going to open up a web server, just simply to grab this here. We'll just copy this. And basically, if it makes a wget to here, it means that we have RC. Okay, cool. Yeah, that worked. Sweet. Now we want to go ahead and escalate this to a reverse shell. I'm going to go ahead and run shells, a little program I made that basically just prints out shell information, and will also let me set up a listener to catch the shell. So in this case, basically a shell is a listener which will allow us to enact remote code execution on a machine, so basically like SSH or admin tool. And in this case, by running this command here, what it will do is make a connection from the victim machine to our Kali machine and allow us to then get remote code execution on the machine. If I go ahead and hit enter now, you'll see here I should get a request here saying connect from basically the remote host at 10.10.11.105 to my host at 10.10.14.12. Then I'll go ahead and type in ID. I'm now running as STRAPI. I go host name, and now I'm running on the Horizontall machine. Basically, we have remote code execution via the reverse shell, which means we can basically run commands remotely. Okay, cool. So now we've done that, where do I want to go from here? Well, the first thing I tend to do whenever I have like a shell or whatever is to first of all check the current directory I'm in, just to see where it spawned us. Checking the current working directory and the files around. I'm going to go ahead and open up, so I want to go ahead and grab my tooling. So basically just some Linux pivot escalation automation tooling. What this will do basically is automate most of the work for me. I'll go ahead and type in lcweb, which will, in my case, because this is a custom script I made, will just basically print out the files in the current directory and append the word bash to them. Just makes my life a little bit easier. Go ahead and grab this. Go ahead and hit, actually want to cd into temp real quick. Keeping note of this directory, opt strapi my API. Okay, fine. I'll go ahead and now run this. What this will do is it will basically just download the enumeration scripts and run them in the background. If I now go ahead and cat Now go ahead and cat one of these. So let's say linpeas, for example. It will now go ahead and print out the linpeas information. Cool. So I'll let that run in the background. So what I want to go ahead and do now is I want to go ahead and see what is on the machine. So I want to go back to where I was, so cd hyphen to revert back to my directory. And I'm going to go ahead and open up a Python web server. The reason I'm doing this is basically because I want to enumerate what's on the machine. And it makes most sense to do that from a Python web server, as it means I can just basically step through the box. Real easy. Cool. We now go ahead and take this and now just basically delete this. Go on 9000, and now we have access to the machine. For some reason, it's glitching a little bit as to this. I think it's just a slight problem on their end. I might have to reset the box. Since this won't seem to work, we'll do this manually. So we look into the current directory. We have a bunch of stuff open here. I'm curious as to what's in here, so I'm just going to go ahead and run some commands to do the work for me. We'll go ahead and run a little grep command. What this will do is basically search for the word password. And I've wrapped it in double quotes here, so it almost looks for like a JSON password in this case, as the word password often and very commonly will just give you a bunch of like noise, and it's just not very helpful. So I tend to try and find passwords still in say JSON files, or in, you know, quoted like this, or maybe this will appear like it's in a dictionary kind of thing. Just variations really to save myself time rather than looking for all the noise. Go ahead and hit enter here, and we can see here that we have a password here for database.json. I'm going to go ahead and cat to this database, just basically see what's in there. Okay, cool. So we have what looks like a developer user and a password. Interesting. Is there a developer user on here, on this machine? If I could type correctly, that would be great. There is a developer user. We can go ahead and try and sue to their account. Maybe that will work. If I can find the password, here it is. Copy. Sue to developer. Seems coming from a terminal, that's okay. We'll go ahead and just open up a mousepad real quick. Store the password in mousepad. And I'll go ahead and now do some little command line trickery that will hopefully work. So if I do shells and then take in this line here, what it will do is it will grade my shell to be a better shell, hopefully. This should work. There we go, cool. It, some reason wasn't the first time. Sorry, there. Sue developer. And now it asks for the password, because now we're running a proper shell. Cool. Hit enter. Did it work? We'll find out. Authentication failure. Let's go ahead and just check that I copied the password correctly, because you never know. Go ahead. Yep, looks right to me. I'll go ahead and just copy it manually, just in case I messed it up. Okay, cool. Go ahead and sue developer. Wait for a second. Seems to be a little bit laggy, that's alright. Enter. Very slow. Okay, authentication failure. No worries. Well, what we can do is, since that was in the database.json file, we can go ahead and actually view the database information, wherever that was here. So, if we look at it here, it sucks, it's so laggy right now. Come on, box, work please. We'll go ahead and access the database, MySQL. -u for developer. -d for the database, so STRAPI. And then -p to say give me a password. We'll go ahead and pull the password out of here. We'll go ahead and log in. Cool. Show databases. Working. I want to look at the STRAPI database. Let's use STRAPI. Cool. Show tables. Cool. We have a STRAPI administrator. We'll go ahead and select from there. Select all from STRAPI administrator, semicolon, and we have a hash. We'll go ahead and copy this to a file. Nano hash. Put that in there. Take this part here. I would use a hashcat to figure out what kind of hash this is, but unfortunately hashcat didn't show me, so Googling it will tell me what I want. I'll remove this. We can see there's bcrypt. Cool, so if I go into hashcat now, and run hashcat, and grab bcrypt, we can see that it's mode 3200, so we can go ahead and run this now. This one, cool. Go ahead and hit enter. Now I ran this and it didn't work. So I gave up on it and been on something else, which was looking at the enumeration scripts. We'll go ahead and cd into that directory that we created the enumeration scripts in. So we basically have linenum and then enum sh and all this stuff. I'm going to go ahead and cat it. And we'll go ahead and just basically have a read through it, see what there is. Go ahead and start from the top. I would use more, as in the Unix tool more, but unfortunately it kind of glitches my terminal a little bit, so we'll just have a quick read. So we just have a scroll through and basically read the information. Most often the stuff that comes out in red will be vulnerable. Anything that's white is mostly informational in the sense of to tell you what is on there. So it basically just run through this. I'm not going to go through it really slow. I'm just going to basically just keep moving through. So look at all the bits and pieces, and if anything comes to mind, we'll go ahead and look at it. So we have here an interesting part here. So we have a local service running on 8000, basically meaning that this port on 8000 is running locally, internally, and isn't accessible externally to our Kali machine. So I want to go ahead and basically investigate that further. What I will go ahead and do is I will go ahead and create a SOCAT tunnel. It will basically allow us to create an external connection, a tunnel, into the internal machine of this Horizontall machine to port 8000. We don't have SSH, or we could use SSH tunneling. In this case, I'm going to use a tool called SOCAT or SOCAT to port 8000. So here we have this here. I'm going to go ahead and open up our web if it lets me. Okay, it's already in use, that's okay. What I will go and do is it should be in here, so we should have SOCAT here. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and grab it basically. Go ahead and just copy this, go to, we are currently in the, yep, cool. We'll go ahead and we'll get SOCAT. Cool, that's now installed, sweet. And we go ahead and chmod it, basically meaning making it so we can execute the binary, SOCAT, like so. Cool, and that should now work. Now if we go to run this command here, what it will allow us to do is it will allow us to create a tunnel from port 8000 externally into port 8000 internally, basically allowing us to access that port on 8000 on the internal machine. If I go ahead and try and hit the machine here at port 8001, you'll see that I'm going to get problems loading. There's no service open right now. I go ahead and hit enter here, and then go ahead and run the same. Now we have something open. Basically, now we have access to this service on port 8000 is what that means. I see immediately we have a LARAVEL version 8.8, version 8. I'm going to go and Google that. We can see here we have some vulnerabilities here. I look at this one down here, and we have what looks like some kind of remote code execution. Interesting. It looks a little bit complicated as we have this PHP thing. There's some prereq, it's not some point and shoot. That's okay, we'll figure that one out. Let's go ahead and check this out now. We'll go ahead and git clone it using this here, copy, and then git clone. Cool, that will now git clone. Interesting. Let's go ahead and cd into it. So we have the RC code. We need to go ahead and read how this works first though, because we have this is the RC code here, but there's some prereq here. PHP, let's go ahead and take this out here because it's a bit hard to read. We'll go ahead and just move this up here so we can see a little bit better. We don't really need this top line. We'll go ahead and run this and see what's what. Okay, interesting. So we're getting a cannot open input file PHP GGC. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and Google PHP GGC. Okay, looks like we can just install it. So I already ran this installation. I'm going to go ahead and then locate it. In my case, I think I stored it in a slightly different directory. But if I go ahead and locate PHP GGC, we can see here, it's in here. So we'll go ahead and pop this in here, like so. Cool. Now we'll go ahead and hit enter, and that looks okay, no errors. We'll go ahead and ls temp now, and has it created? Looks like it has, okay, cool. We'll go ahead and now take in the exploit code that they run here. Okay, it actually turns out we can just take what we want. So we'll go ahead and just do LARAVEL, and then something like this. Cool, we have an error. User bin end, okay, interesting. We'll go ahead and look at the code. The reason we got this error is basically because it's looking at this environment variable that doesn't exist. That's fine, we'll go ahead and just delete the line. Go ahead and then tell it to run with Python. In our case, Python 3. enter, wait a second. Okay, we got an error, no worries, we'll go ahead and run it again. Cool, looks like we got UID root. Let's go ahead and try something more interesting now. We'll go ahead and open up a web and port, say 902. We'll go ahead and then grab this, copy. We'll go ahead and then just change the exploit to be not ID, but change it to be something else. For example, curl our payload, so basically our host. Hit enter. We go ahead and run this now. If we have a connection here, it means that it's working. It's taken a second. Yep, cool, we have a connection, therefore we have a root shell. Effectively what we can now go ahead and execute to. We'll go ahead and now basically run a shells. We'll do like, I don't know, say 1230. We'll go ahead and just grab, say this one. Cool, we'll go ahead and now adjust this to be like this. Cool, go ahead and hit enter. Go ahead and now run it. We should now have a root reverse shell. And boom. And we have a root reverse shell, which is sweet. To go ahead and hit ID, and we are root cat root.txt. Sweet. Cool. And that concludes the video. If you liked it, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Hoping to be releasing some more interesting content soon, something more unique than HackTheBox stuff. I've been working on MySQL injection videos for basic web fundamentals for hackers and also in general. This is a web app I made that basically just teaches all the SQL injection stuff, working half client-side, half PHP, and it works really cleanly and has a great base for some blind, normal, error-based, time-based, etc. SQL injection, and it's just all very clean. So I hope you found the video helpful, and I will see you next one. Take care, everyone. Bye.